Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Power Hour Panel Talk. This is the Power Hour Panel Talk, where we get together and we discuss current events, we discuss everything that's going on in the world, and we discuss, like we've been discussing for the past couple of weeks, Trump. I know we're going to get into it, so I'm just going to go ahead and say that Trump, because I think that is going to be the big thing today. So, how are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. Stephanie's off tonight. Yeah, Angel's actually eating dinner right now in the back there. But we've been busy day today. How are you, Wade?
I'm doing excellent. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Doing well. So the big news, we're going to talk about other things as well, but the big news today was the Senate impeachment trial for the impeachment of Donald J. Trump. Now, President Trump was impeached while he was still in office, but today is the first day of his actual trial. And as we all know, he is not in office. So guys, what did you think about the impeachment trial?
I say yes, go for it. Kick his ass out. I'm ready. Kick him out.
I was quite disgusted today with the little bit that I watched. I actually turned it off.
So why were you disgusted?
So we know that something happened. All right. We know that something happened, whatever that case may be, whether he instigated it or people just showed up or it was pre-planned or aliens came down. It doesn't matter. We know something happened. And what disgusted me today was, and ignoring any party lines, any groups, anything like that, just the fact that somebody sat down and created a 13-minute video that would rival an apocalyptic movie trailer to specifically make it look worse than it was and to generate an emotional response with captions and everything else and music in the background. That disgusted me. We know what happened, and I don't mind them showing the footage, but come on, you don't have to make it cinematic.
So I'm gonna show clips. I'm not gonna show all 13 minutes of the video, but I will show some clips of the video. But I will say this. I spoke to people, police officers who were on the front line, and everything that they have told me, I can't really release who my source was, but it was officers who were actually in the front line who were injured on the front line. And from what they told me, everything that we saw on tape is just a minuscule amount of what actually happened, and it was actually worse than what actually happened. So I will say that. But we'll debate that way. But let me go ahead and play this video because I know you hated this video more than anything. I'm not going to play the full 13 minutes. I will play a little clip of it.
Today, I will lay out just some of the evidence proving that we won this election, and we won it by a landslide. This was not a close election. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down to the Capitol.
Yeah. Let's take the Capitol. Take the Capitol. We are going to the Capitol, where our problems are. It's that direction. Everybody in! This way!
Tens of thousands of votes. They came in duffel bags. Where the hell did they come from?
Madam Speaker, the Vice President, and the United States Senate.
Off the subject. Stand up for us. Stand up for us. We outnumber you 1,000,000 to 1 out here, dude. We take the vote.
One more.
No. If
More
I
videos.
tell you, if they could have shot, I would have said shoot all of the asses, especially them going right into the Capitol building. You know, that is sacred ground. I don't like that at all. It's disgusting what they did, and no, and they should all be accountable for what they've done. If I
Yeah.
tell you, if they had guns, they should have shot them right then and there.
So I know, Wade, you were not happy about this video. So they played this video, and again, it was 13 minutes long. I'm not going to play all 13 minutes of the video. But the video was 13 minutes long, and it was played during the first part of the impeachment trial today. Now, Wade, you're telling me that you were not happy with the fact that they played this video. Could you tell us a little bit why you weren't happy about it? Oh, Wade, you're on mute.
There we go. Gotcha. Okay. Not the fact that the video exists. Don't get me wrong. The facts of the day need to be shown. What I was unhappy with is they spent 13 minutes. They spent the time to generate this cinematic quality video to generate emotion instead of the fact. And we use emotion to get people to buy into things. We use emotion to get people to agree with us or to disagree. They're using emotion instead of the facts to get everybody riled up. Why do you need to show a 13-minute video with all these independent facts to people that were already there during the event? I mean, let's be honest. That's
showing as proof. That's the thing. It actually happened, and it was not right. That's why they're showing it.
Right, and showing into so. Let me explain it this way. If you were to say, okay, the Capitol was breached at, and I don't know the exact time it was breached. So in this example, I'm just going to say 1 o'clock for the point of this conversation. So if you were to say the Capitol was breached at 1 o'clock and you showed me video of the Capitol being breached at 1 o'clock, I'm totally okay with that. Totally okay with that. If you show me, you tell me at 1:15 that this individual was shot, the lady that was shot, that was a vet from San Diego, and you show me the video of that, I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is making a 13-minute cinematic trailer. That's what I'm not okay with.
So I will say this, no matter who you are, people respond to emotion rather than logic. Right. Now, I feel like if you would give anyone that's sitting on this video right now logic, we will respond to it. But as we know, the greater population responds to emotion rather than logic. Yep. And if we look at it in that sense, the thing that we have to look at is that that's what Trump really does, is that when Trump is also talking, he goes for emotion and not logic. And we're seeing that as a political entity, all politics in America right now is doing one thing. They are trying to appeal to people's emotion rather than logic, because they see that when you appeal to logic rather than emotions, then you lose.
Yes.
So I'm going to say this. It didn't start with the Democrats, but it's not going to end. With the way that politics has been played out for the past several years, we're going to see more and more emotions, more pulled at heartstrings, more pulled at people's angers, at people's fears, rather than pulled at logic. Because if you try and give people logic, they're not going to follow you, and they're going to follow someone else.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the same theory as scaring somebody into doing something. You scare somebody enough, they're going to be passive. You know, these are the things that bother me. And I was having a conversation with one of my coworkers actually the other day, and I said, you know, if you get rid of the parties in this, and it's really hard to do that, especially for people who have been in politics for a long time. But let's think about this for a minute. There's a representative who talks about QAnon, talks about children. That there's people in the government that are sucking children's blood, and the Pizzagate.
Oh, QAnon.
Yeah. Okay. So now here's my point on the entire thing. Get rid of the parties. Get rid of the fact that she's a representative. If this person was standing on the street, you would call her batshit crazy and lock her up. And that's what we're seeing in politics now. Literally, I watched monkeys throwing shit at each other today. Because I don't have a party that I have subscribed to. I watched two groups of people throwing shit at each other and not actually moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why that they everything that he's done, why don't they just lock him up, and they know he's guilty. I mean, you see the proof, you see it in front of your eyes. And
Because even the president has the right to a fair trial.
Unbelievable. It's sickening. And how could, hang Mike Pence? I mean, that should be a felony right there. Even saying that. He's the vice president, for Christ's sake. You can't say, let's go out and kill the president. You can't say that. So why is it okay to say hang Mike Pence?
You can say anything you want. You're not free from the repercussions, but you can say anything you want. Right. And I do believe that if you make a threat against a president's life or something, whether you're just joking or not, I do believe you get a knock on your door. I could be wrong.
Well, see, I mean, then why aren't those people getting knocks on their doors? Hang Mike Pence. I mean, to me, that's a felony right there.
So they are. So I'll say this: the people who stormed the Capitol, the people who said hang Mike Pence, they're all being investigated and arrested by the FBI. But I don't want to swing too far away from the actual impeachment, because the impeachment versus what's happening with everyone who stormed the Capitol are two separate things. It's both two separate legal trials, but it's going to be separate. But they are going after the people who said that.
Mm-hmm.
And they were the gentleman today, and I'm sorry, I forget his name. The gentleman who did the most of the speaking, I believe, and please,
Jamie Renskin, Representative.
If I'm wrong about this, please, I apologize. I think he had a yarmulke on.
So one of Trump's lawyers, David Schuman,
he was a Democrat.
Democrat. So if it was a Democrat, it was probably Representative Jamie Renskin.
He was talking about how he had his kids there and things like that.
And they don't even want to go there anymore. And he started.
They don't even want to go there anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that.
That's to me, that is just that's going away from the facts. All right. Say your kids were there. Okay, cool. You felt your kids were in danger, things like that. The moment you start crying because your kids don't want to go back and all that, you're just specifically playing the emotion card. I'm a very logical person, and to me, that skews away from logic and facts. That's just trying to make people cry.
So I'm gonna disagree with that. I do believe that since the senators and the representatives were there, they have a right to express how they felt during this time and what happened, because it is a big part of the case. Now, some people, when they recount their experiences, it can be a dry account, and some people can tell their experiences in a very colorful way. I think it just has to do with the person speaking. I don't think there's anything wrong with Representative Ranskin's speech about how his kids were there and how his daughter doesn't want to come back. I do think that is relevant to the case, because what is going on is that they're charging Trump with inciting a riot, and they're saying because of this riot, this is the consequences of everything that's happening. So I do believe that it is relevant.
You know what really irks me is, these Republicans that were so disgusted that day of what was going on. I mean, look at Mitt Romney. I mean, he was so shaken up. It was crazy. And all the rest of these Republicans, there was a lot of them that were shaken up, and they were disgusted too and couldn't believe this happened. But now, how the tides have turned now they're seeing it like, oh, it was just what it is. It's like, really? What if they did get in there and they did something to you? All these Republicans that were scared. It's a shame that they're changing their minds now. It's like, why are these Republicans such pussies in the first place? They're pussies. What does Trump have over them? That's what I want to know. Because it's like he's dangling something over. I don't know, but they believe in something, and how they change their thinking, it disgusts me.
So the thing that Trump has over them is their base. The majority of their base are very much strong supporters of Trump. And basically, if Trump says that we are now against you because you're not supporting us, then their base, the Republican base, then turns away from that representative or that senator.
what they
So
have to
essentially,
remember,
Trump completely controls a vast majority of the Republican base right now.
and these Republicans have to remember, look, they work for us. They work for the citizens, not for themselves. It's all a political power, and that's what really pisses me off. But they're in there for us, for the citizens, but they're not acting like it, and they haven't acted like it in 4 years.
Let's be honest. They don't act like it after they're elected. They only act like it until they're elected.
True.
All right.
Very
After
true.
that, they're patting their pockets.
Well, and Angel has something to say here.
Well, they're not. They're kind of afraid because everybody is hiding something. If Donald Trump, he knows about their business,
They have dirt. Everybody has dirt.
Even in Mexico, they say you wanna be rich, get into the politics.
Yeah.
So everybody makes money out of with the politics stuff. When they have control or when they have power, they're making money. They're making something. So they're afraid to Donald Trump because Donald Trump, he knows everybody's business. Everybody asked him a favor before, so that's why they're afraid.
So Mel, I got a question for you.
Okay.
All right. So because I don't know a lot about this, I would prefer, honestly, to see the officers that were there that day up there making statements, the people that were charged with protecting the Capitol and how this happened, instead of these lawmakers and politicians. Is that something that's going to happen, or are we just going to have to listen to these politicians?
So today was a strange day for the trial. And so a lot of people thought that we were just going to jump into the actual trial. But today, the first part of the trial was just 4 hours of debate on whether it was constitutional or not. So the only thing that they were talking about today is it constitutional? And at the end of the first day, which was today, they took a vote. And they did vote that this trial is constitutional. So starting tomorrow, they'll have the ability to call witnesses to the stand. So Democrats, Republicans, Trump's team, they can all call witnesses if they do want to call witnesses. Now, I don't have the witness list, so I don't know if anyone is scheduled to come and testify, but they could possibly call officers to the stand, or they could have testimonial read from an officer during the trial because it's all evidence coming in and it's all witnesses. But I will say this. The Republicans are very much against witnesses coming in. Senator Graham basically said that if witnesses come in, if the Democrats call any kind of witnesses, that they're going to bring in the FBI to have the FBI testify or something like that, which, again, I think that's all a win-win. If the FBI testifies, if witnesses come in and testify, I think it's all important to this case. I don't know why Graham made that a threat. But again, they can call many, many witnesses if they choose to.
I'd like for them to call those Trumpsters that just notice that nobody's got your back. Trump doesn't got your back. So that would be cool.
So Joanna said he made no sense. I think that was back to Lindsey Graham.
Right.
Now, something that was brought up a lot today during the impeachment trial was this thing called the January exception. Now, essentially, Democrats stated that Trump's lawyers were arguing that there should be a January exception. And essentially what they were saying is that whatever the president does in those last couple of weeks or those last couple of days cannot be prosecuted under an impeachment trial because that president will no longer be in office once the trial happens. And many people were saying that if this trial was labeled unconstitutional, it would set a precedent for other presidents in the future, whether it's Democrat or whether it's Republican, to do whatever they want. So they did say that this trial is constitutional. So it looks as though that January exception was thrown out, but it was something that was spoken about a lot today. So what do you guys think about the whole January exception as being part of the arguments?
Well, they started the impeachment when he was still president, so it should keep going on until he's impeached again, so he can never run for office again.
So when I heard that today, watching it, the first thing that popped into my head was, you're president from the day you take the oath till the day and time that someone else does. or you're incapable of performing that duty anymore. Whichever comes first, or your time's up. All right. So there's an end point and a start point. There's no in between of, you weren't the president the week before the end point. It doesn't work like that. But what I found amusing is that they're making that people, not even a party, are making the statement now that you're president till that last moment. But 3 months ago, people were making the statement, you're no longer president, it doesn't matter. It's like you can't have it both ways. You're either president till whatever that cutoff is, or you're not. And constitutionally, you're president until that cutoff, whatever it is. And you're responsible until that cutoff.
Agreed. Yep. And he wasn't such a good leader those last few weeks there. I mean, in fact, he was a little pussy.
That's Sohaila's favorite word tonight.
My favorite word tonight. Yes.
I really want to know, can you point on the doll where Trump hurt you?
Right in my head. That's where he hurt me, right there. Yes.
So I want to hear from you guys, because again, the trial, now that Congress has stated, now that the Senate has stated that this trial is constitutional, it's going to be moving forward. But I want to hear from you guys. Do you believe that this trial is constitutional? And let's start with Wade.
Absolutely. So what I was listening to in the impeachment was they brought up all sorts of precedent of previous people being tried or impeached after their end of service date. And it's important to recognize that all the people that they brought up were not just presidents. They were other people who held government offices. And the Democrats and the Republicans, when I was listening to them, kept getting them mixed up. And what I mean by that is they would talk about this person that held an office and then say, and that relates to the president. Well, it relates to holding a government position. It doesn't relate to the president. Just because you were the head of the Department of Transportation, you are not anywhere near the president. But the point of the matter remains that you held a government office, and the precedent has been set numerous times previously, all the way back into the early 1800s, that you can be tried for things after you're out of office.
So I think the trial is constitutional. Number one, the alleged offense happened while Trump was still in office.
Mm-hmm.
The articles of impeachment were put through while Trump was still in office. It's just that Trump happened to have left office before the trial could be set. Now, they could have rushed it, because I know they were talking about due process so Trump's lawyers were talking about having due process and, having the trial happen quicker. But the way that I look at it is they could have rushed it. If they rushed it, I don't think that was even a good defense for Trump. So I think they are still well within the range of due process, because it's only been a month. But it just happens that now that he's out of office, they're trying to say that it's unconstitutional. I still think it's constitutional. Defense happened while he was in office. The articles of impeachment were passed while he was in office. They just had to have enough time for Trump to build a defense, and then two, for the prosecution to build a case. So I think it's well within the time of due process, and that makes it completely and utterly constitutional. Sohaila.
Absolutely. And I think we really need this process to be as true to the law and the processes as possible, because of how inflammatory it is. I think it needs to be as true as possible. So whatever result it is, whether he's guilty or not, or impeached or not, or so on and so forth, that people can't come back and say it was swayed because of one way or another.
Sure. Agreed.
And then Sohaila, what do you think? Constitutional, not constitutional? Why or why not?
Constitutional. Definitely. Yep. He's part of government. He works for the government. So what do you think? Constitutional or unconstitutional?
Constitutional. But I think this is another way to modify some laws, because everything happens for a reason, right? So it's a good opportunity to modify maybe the law and the Constitution. You know.
So how would you like it modified, Angel?
Well, you know, every time you make mistakes, you have to modify
you should
the
be
rules
accountable. No, I think you should be accountable
and responsible.
and responsible. Yes, of course.
So, and I think not just Donald Trump is the guy that he makes mistakes. You know, they need to put attention on the judge, because sometimes the judge, they like to benefit on the Republicans or Democrats. So they need to check on the whoever is going to be in court, because somebody is a leader in the court, right, and the courthouse. So they had to make sure they're like how can I say it?
They're not biased.
They had to be in the middle. They had to enforce their power. You know, you make a mistake, you have to pay for that.
Right.
You know, but
not take sides.
Exactly.
Or money.
So Angel just reminded me of something. I'm trying to pull that up right now. Okay, here it is. So in between the hearings during recesses, reporters spoke to Senator Mike Lee. And one of the comments that Senator Mike Lee stated was, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone is entitled to a mulligan. Mm-hmm. This is not a parody. This is not a joke that I'm saying. This is not SNL. This is literally what a senator said in regards to Trump. They're saying that Trump made a mistake and everyone's entitled to a mulligan. So even Trump's entitled to a mulligan. I know that if I had charges brought against me of that magnitude, there'd be no mulligan for me.
Exactly.
There'd be no saving grace for me. So what do you guys think about Senator Mike Lee saying that everyone deserves a mulligan in this situation?
Stage is a pussy.
I'm gonna get Sohaila's shirt.
We're gonna get you a hat. Just because he's a pussy.
Angel, what a mulligan is.
Like a redo. I think that's the easiest way to describe it. It's like you get a redo, like you kind of take it away.
Like it's okay. Do it again. It's okay.
Yeah, it's a golf term. If I hit a ball and it goes off to the left and I wanted it to go straight and I have a mulligan available, I could say, I'm going to take a mulligan, and that stroke didn't count. I get to redo it.
You can repeat it. Yeah. Do it over.
So I think our criminal system is the mulligan. And go with me on this for a second. Everybody gets a mulligan. If you didn't, you'd all be guilty until proven innocent.
Yep.
So if you're found innocent, you get a do-over. If you're found guilty, a lot of the times you get a do-over in the process. Mm-hmm. So in some states where they have the death penalty, you automatically get a mulligan. So I think everybody gets a mulligan. It depends on how you perceive that statement.
Okay. So I don't think that's the way that Senator Mike Lee was saying it, but I do get where you're going there.
So you're trying to say everybody deserves a second and third or fourth opportunity?
Well,
so I'll say this.
Yes.
So I'll say this. I think
it depends on how good
I think almost everyone deserves a second chance after you do your time. I will say this. Like after you serve your time, you get to go back out in society and get your second chance. So there's your mulligan. You get to restart. You're not in jail forever unless you kill somebody, and that's a completely different story. And we will talk about that another time.
So that does raise an interesting question, though, Mel. So what is the potential outcome? We know there's two outcomes of the impeachment that I'm aware of. There may be more, but I'm only aware of two. For lack of a better term, you're guilty or you're not. You're impeached or you're not.
Correct.
So in this case, we know if he's not impeached, he walks away scot-free. He walks down those steps, happy-go-lucky. If he is impeached or found guilty, what happens then?
So there's several things that can happen. Number one, that a lot of people are speculating is that he would lose some of his presidential benefits. So once every president leaves office, I almost said graduated. Once every single president leaves office, then they are entitled to have the presidential benefits, which includes, but it's not limited to, a stipend to travel around the world and Secret Service.
Right.
Now, I think his travel stipend would be taken away. but I don't think they would take away Secret Service for obvious reasons. It would just become a bigger issue. But the biggest thing would be barring him from running from office again. Now, that would not be automatic. If Trump is found guilty, the Senate would have to have another vote to bar him from running for office again. But that can only happen if he's impeached. So that's going to be the biggest thing that would happen to Trump.
Right. I was referring to more along the lines of criminally. Let's say he's found guilty of inciting this riot that caused people to die. Do they slap the cuffs on him? Do they? He's scot-free no matter what. So this is just a show that prevents him from running for president again. Is that all this is?
So I think it does a couple. For Trump, it's honestly, for Trump, it's really not the biggest thing for Trump is that he can't run again.
Right.
And that's going to be the biggest thing. For the country, it sets precedent. I think that's going to be the biggest thing for the country. It shows that you can't do this. We already set precedent by actually impeaching him. So honestly, there's no jail time associated with this. This is just, basically being removed from office, but he's already removed.
Now, what about civilly? He could be sued civilly from many people then, right?
He could be sued civilly if they chose to bring criminal charges against him. They possibly could, but again, this is not a criminal court, so they can't necessarily treat him as though he's a criminal. But they can basically remove him from office, but he's already removed. So anything that goes along with being in office and being in good standing as a president would be removed, minus the Secret Service, I believe.
So what you're saying is you have a billionaire who can do whatever he wants, however he wants, whenever he wants, that's going to get a slap on the wrist and told that you can't hold another job in government.
Basically.
That's sad. That's really sad.
I find that a waste of my taxes.
Right?
Now, here's the thing. So here's the next thing. If Trump is found guilty in the impeachment trial, it could open the door for more things to come as well. Like you said, civilly, people could probably sue him. I think the first step would honestly be to find him guilty. And then from there, I think other things could be brought. But if he's not found guilty, if he's not impeached, there's nothing else that can happen. Wow. And honestly, if we look at American history, American presidents are not charged criminally.
That's
even
interesting.
Though many should have been.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So then it really doesn't matter.
Right?
I still think it matters because it sets precedent. It sets precedent.
But it doesn't matter. The worst thing you can do to me is fire me.
I know. So the worst thing they can do to Trump is basically say you can't run again. But I think it's very important because it sets precedent for future presidents. I think that's why it's really important. For Trump, for right now, it's not that big of a deal. But if you look at America like on a greater scale, it's going to be a huge deal for future presidents to come see what they can and cannot do. So it's going to set limitations of what a president can do. As we saw today, we got rid of this January exception because this set precedent that presidents can't do whatever they want at the end of their time in office.
Wow. That's sad. It's very sad.
It is. It is.
I think it's interesting. I think it's very interesting because if Mel, for example, was to go out and incite a riot and people died, she's going to jail.
RICO laws.
Exactly. But the billionaire, he could buy his way out of everything. And that's what
it's a matter of a billionaire. It's just the president. He's free and clear.
But when we look at it, people in power are always allotted more leeway because of the position of power that they're in. Mm-hmm. So whether it's someone at the head of a corporation, gosh, who was that CEO that was arrested in jail, and what company was it? And they kept him as the CEO because we can't lose someone like that. So he maintained his role as CEO. I can't remember what company that was.
I don't know. Who was it?
I'll look it up for next week.
Enron's coming to mind. I don't know why.
But it wasn't him.
It wasn't me that time.
Yeah.
So Joanna says he shouldn't be allowed to run for any government office.
Well, you know what's going to happen? Okay, let's say he's impeached and so he can't run. Well, guess what? His sons are going to run, or his daughter's probably going to run, and he's going to back him up. I
That's
knew
true.
that's going to happen.
I wonder if they're gonna sue the kids, because the kids did have a lot of mouth behind them as well during the whole thing. So that's interesting to see if that happens or not. Now, I know we've been talking about serious things. I know we've been talking about the seriousness of the impeachment trial. But did anyone see Bruce Castor today? The first Trump's first lawyer?
Mm-mm.
You guys, so let me let me see if I can pull this video up for you guys to see if we can get some of these to come up. So sorry guys, bear with me. I know it's frustrating. I'm gonna go to YouTube really quick to get Bruce Castor. Hold up. Can you guys hear the no? Let me try this again. I am sorry guys. I'm gonna get this to work. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Screen.
We got time. That's okay.
There we go.
Good.
Share audio. There it is. I want to make sure that the audio is, because that's the most important thing. So let's share the screen. Bruce Castor.
Quite frank with you, we changed what we were going to do on account that we thought that the House manager's presentation was well done. We are generally a social people. We enjoy being around one another. Senators of the United States, they're not ordinary people. And boy, this is a diverse group. We still know what records are, right? On the thing you put the needle down on and you play it. I worked in this building 40 years ago. I got lost then, and I still do. I represent the great state of fill in the blank. I saw a headline, Representative so-and-so seeks to walk back comments about, I forget what it was, something that bothered her. I don't want to steal the thunder from the other lawyers, but Nebraska, you're going to hear, is quite a judicial thinking place. If the individual state legislatures didn't adopt the Constitution, we would not have it. The floodgates will open. As I was going to say originally, it will release the whirlwind. But I subsequently learned since I got here that that particular phrase has already been taken, so I figured I better change it to floodgates.
What the hell was that?
That was Trump's lawyer's opening argument. This was the first lawyer that came on. This was the first lawyer that spoke to the senators. This was the first lawyer that had everything prepared to say to the senators. I don't know. I was very confused. I want to say that Bruce Castor seemed very flustered. It seemed that he was underprepared. I don't know. What do you guys think about the opening statements from Trump's lawyer?
I didn't even get anything from that. Did you? Wow.
And I'm going to say this, right? Because a lot of times when people they chop up things to make things seem incoherent, people do have a tendency to edit videos in a certain way. I'm going to tell you right now, I watched the entire first day from beginning to end. And during that segment with Bruce Castor, it was incoherent. He seemed flustered. He seemed underprepared. He seemed as though he did not know what he was talking about. And I think even at times, he even kind of admitted to being underprepared, because they said they changed their argument last minute because of what the Democrats said. So Wade, what do you think about Bruce Castor?
Did they give him an alcohol test before or after? Was he drunk? I mean, I understand people edit videos, but I mean, when he said, I represent, just fill in the blank, whatever, it's cool.
That's nuts.
But don't worry, don't feel bad. We have an actor like this in Mexico. His name is Cantinflas. He talks too much, but he don't say anything. He can talk for 10 minutes and you really don't understand what he's trying to say.
Pretty much like that.
Sometimes I'm feeling that situation.
I know we're laughing about it, but this was, again, so let me go to this comment really quickly and then I'll say what I was going to say. So Joanna says, I'm telling you, SNL is very excited for this Saturday. And I'm going to say they're going to be very excited for this Saturday, but it's really embarrassing because during this entire process, it looks as though parody is real life, where SNL can literally take exactly what was done, put it on their show, and people will laugh at it. And then you sadly realize that this wasn't a comedy sketch. They literally took exactly what happened and just put it into the show. So
it is laughable because there was nothing logical about that at all. So it's like, what the hell? Wow. If the rest of his attorneys are like that, we're going to win.
So I'll say this is, wait, what'd you say, Wade?
I said, I don't think anybody's going to win in this. I think everybody loses no matter the outcome.
I completely agree. I think the biggest losers, no matter the outcome, the biggest losers out of all of this is the American people. I know people said that after the election. I know people are saying the biggest losers after the Capitol riots were the American people, but it really seems as though the American people are taking big losses this past 2 years. Because at the end of the day, we're laughing at this happening. We're laughing at the president's lawyer being incoherent during a trial, but we're not the only ones watching this. The world is watching. And we call ourselves the leaders of the free world. But what happens when the leaders of the free world is a laughing stock of the world? Essentially, I believe that we're going to lose a lot of the international power that we held on to for so many years. I believe that people are looking at us like one big comedy show. And I know that when I do speak to my friends overseas, no matter what country they're in, they ask me, they start by saying, well, what the hell's going on in America?
Yep.
Because they really don't understand.
It hasn't just been this. It's been years like this. How the other countries, we think that we are the leaders, but the other countries, no, we're not. They just take it.
So
go ahead.
A crucial member of my team, my administrator, Hannah, she's in Europe. She's in the UK, in Swindon. And I talk to her on a daily basis, almost every hour of the day. And it is a comedy show. All they're missing is a Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey, poster saying, come watch the US. Come watch season 2 of bullshit, because that's what it is.
In Mexico, for months and months, they always say, oh, this is the big drama scenario in America. Mm-hmm. So people laughing about what's going on.
Oh yeah, we're definitely the laughing stock. We are the living version of SNL right now.
Right.
One day, 2 years ago, they have a couple clowns, here in LA, and he say one person asked him, the host, one of the guests, said, "What is the best clown at all times?" And he say, "Oh, the best clown is in the White House." And people say, hey, you're not supposed to say that, please. They say, hey, you asked me a question, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, anything else about day one of the impeachment trial? I know it's been an interesting day.
Yeah,
we had tragedy, we had comedy, we had craziness, all in a 4-hour span of this day one. So, any last thoughts on the impeachment trial before we move to something else?
I just say time will tell. That's all. We could just, hold our breath and keep watching and keep seeing what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I really want the impeachment to start tomorrow with the Benny Hill theme song.
Arranged.
Oh
my gosh, that'd be funny.
So let's. Oh, go ahead, Angel. Go ahead.
I just want to say I wish the best for all the people in America, because I wish the best to them make a good decision in the court with the impeachment.
Excellent. I wish the best for the American people as well. I'm one of the American people. I hope that we can get everything together and that we can have a fair and speedy trial with proper evidence being brought so we can come to a proper conclusion. Because at the end of the day, we want a fair and speedy trial. Mm-hmm. So Joanna's laughing. I don't know who she's laughing at, but I think it was the Benny Hill comment. So let's talk about something a little bit happier now that we're come to this, and that is stimulus checks. Do you guys think we'll be getting stimulus checks if you qualify for stimulus checks? Do you think that it's coming to the American people?
You want to be my dependent?
Oh yeah, you want to? Yeah.
How old are you, Mel?
I don't think I qualify to be your dependent or anyone's dependent. So if you want a stimulus check, let's stay away from malice attendants.
I mean, that's one of those things, again, that's just sad because it changes every 5 minutes. Who's qualified, what it's going to be, who's arguing about what. I mean, and it's amazing to me that we, the American people, put up with so much bullshit. And here's what I mean by this. So we have people arguing over the extras. We have people arguing over funds going to other programs that have nothing to do with supporting the American people, and people who are not going to pass the bill unless they get the money for their pet programs. Those are people that should be removed from office. They are not there for the American people.
Exactly. I agree. And why don't they just have the stimulus package by itself? Why do you have to have all these earmarks and these extras in there in the first place? Even that $15 an hour should not even be in there. That should be its own entity. I mean, everything, it should be for one thing and be done with it. So I don't know why they're not doing that.
Because if you want me to sign it, you're going to give me what I want. That's what it's coming down to.
So I'll say this when it comes to putting things together. So usually they'll put together packages because it's easier to push out packages all together, especially when it comes to budget. Mm-hmm. So when you're budgeting, if you can clump things together in order to ensure that you have this budget, it's easier for you to manage things and to manage every single transaction by itself. And essentially everything, like from minimum wage to the stimulus check to I think the $3,000 they want to give for kids, all this is like individual transactions. So if you put it together, it's easier to pass through than to have like meetings every day. Now, with that being said, this money should have been in the American people's pockets already.
Right.
I do not understand why anyone is arguing about this. I don't understand why anyone is against this. The American people,
not for the people, that's the problem.
The American people are suffering right now. There are families who are struggling to put food on the table. There are families who are struggling with rent. Now, again, Biden did sign that executive order to push rent to be due. I think it's in September. Was it September or March? Do you guys remember? But he pushed it so many people are no longer dealing with evictions. But just because they're no longer dealing with evictions does not mean that they don't still owe all that money in rent. It just means that they have a place to live right now. And that's piling up because now you have people who've been, and then Joanna, thank you, Joanna. Joanna says March. So it was extended till March. Now you have people who owe rent for almost an entire year.
Yep.
I say we get it from the people who are not saying yes to this bill. You know, those damn Republicans, you know. And first of all, they shouldn't even be getting paid until they finish this off. They make a hefty amount of money. Well, you know what? Why don't you like it and see how you like it actually when you don't get any check coming in? That's what really irritates me. You know, they're sitting pretty when half of the United States are worse than poverty right now. You know, it's disgusting. It really is. They should not have a paycheck until they figure something out for us.
So something else that they're arguing about is who should get the money. Now, I know they have been arguing back and forth that they want to lower the threshold for who will receive the money, because what they've noticed is that people who make above a certain income, when they get that money, they put it into savings. And when people who make below a certain income, when they get the money, they pay bills, and it stimulates the economy like it should. So what are your guys' thoughts on lowering the threshold? Do you think the threshold was set exactly where it needs to be? Or do you think it should go to people who are further down in the socioeconomic ladder?
Well, first of all, if somebody's working, they shouldn't even be getting a check, a stimulus check, because they are working. And for those that aren't working, they should be the first ones who have that. Now, I know I heard there's a lot of fraud going on. How the hell is that happening in the first place? I don't get it. So I don't know. I think 75 is a good cap. 75K is a good cap. But again, if you're not working, you need that money.
So Joanna says, so I'm going to go to you, Angel, after this. there is a disconnect. They have no clue what the average American is going through. And then what were you saying, Angel?
Yeah, they need to really investigate and look what's the people who really needs. I used to have a friend that she owns a company with the husband. They do a car wash, and I remember, and also she has the sports magazine. And when she was my friend, I was helping her. I used to take her to the county to collect money for food stamps, stuff like that. And she was making a lot of money. She has his wife. The family was driving a Mercedes. She had the son in the college and the university, and she was collecting money, food stamps, and everything.
She should be ashamed of
So
herself.
a lot of people take advantage of the
They sure
system.
do.
I'm not gonna say I never asked for money, but one day when I fall from the tree, my wife, she helped me to apply for food stamp because I was a single dad and I didn't work for 3 months. So
More than that.
when you have those kind of emergencies, I think you have no choice. But a lot of people they love to collect money. They abuse the system, take advantage of the system.
So I do know a lot of people take advantage of the system, but I do want to make a clear distinction. I think that people do take advantage of social programs. A minority of people take advantage of it, but I don't think the stimulus check really is something that is like a social program right now. I think it's something that's put in place solely to stimulate the economy. And when you give that money to the American people, whether they pay their bills, whether they pay their electric, whether they pay the Wi-Fi, whether they buy new sneakers, whether they buy stock, I think that's stimulating the economy.
Sure.
I think that people who do have money saved up should not get the stimulus check. But if people go out there and they buy a new pair of sneakers with the stimulus money, I'm all for that because it's stimulating the economy and it's giving that shoe salesman a job. Even if they order a shoe off of Amazon, you have giving the Amazon worker a business, you're giving him a job, you're giving the delivery driver a job, everyone is having a job. So as long as the money is going to people who are going to spend the money, now don't get me wrong, I'm someone who's very much into telling people to save and invest, but the purpose of the stimulus check is to stimulate the economy. That's why it's called a stimulus check. So I think once we find where people are spending it, that's where we send the bulk of the money to. So that distinction, and then whatever comes underneath of that. Now, there's people who put a down payment on a car with a stimulus check. I think that's fine. My dad owns an auto shop in DC. He said the moment that $600 check started hitting people's accounts, they have not had business. They have not had steady business in a couple of months. The moment that $600 hit their account, people came into my dad's shop and started getting their car fixed. He said that was the most business they had seen, like in 1 week in the past couple of months. So I think it is necessary to stimulate the economy. I think that's why we need to make sure that the people are getting the check.
But again, I mean, if they're working, then they shouldn't be getting the stimulus check. I mean, it's about the.
But we have to remember. So I'm not talking about unemployment benefits.
Right.
I'm not talking about food stamps. I'm talking just about the stimulus check, which is put in place to stimulate the economy.
I agree.
Yeah. Essentially, we don't want the economy to crash.
Back in June, my wife and I was in Home Depot, and
it was packed.
Everybody was using the money to
renovate their houses, and they said they were so busy. It was crazy.
Said they break records, right? Of selling stuff.
Yeah.
I would have preferred they went to an independent hardware store, but again, as long as it's stimulating the economy and it's providing people with jobs, it's providing businesses the opportunity to stay open, I think it's okay. I don't care what people spend the money on legally. I don't care. I want to make sure I say that. I don't care if people spend their stimulus checks on legally, as long as it's stimulating the economy. And I think that's why they have the cutoff where they have the cutoff. It's because they want to ensure that the money they put out is being sent to people who are going to spend it to ensure that the economy keeps running. And then Wade, what do you think?
So as a small business owner, there's so many things that we try and do to help people. And I think the stimulus check, no matter who gets it, is going to help people as long as they don't make like above $200,000. All right. Because it doesn't matter if you have money in the bank. It doesn't matter if you're working a minimum wage job. It doesn't matter if you're working as an executive. You still have the same bills today that you're going to have tomorrow, that you're going to have in 6 months from now. Because this isn't going to end. The stimulus is not a savior. The pushing off of rent being due and taxes and things like that, while that's a savior at this moment, it still is going to come due. And what are you going to do then when somebody comes knocking on the door and says, you owe $12,000 because you haven't paid rent in the last month for 12 months? Someone's still got to pay that.
Correct.
So I don't think it should matter if they're working or they're not, because a lot of people that are working less hours or working at a lesser paid job, doing what they can to get by right now. And I think it would be completely unfair if people like essential workers weren't included. What does it matter then? And frankly, let's be honest for a second. I'm an essential worker doing heating and cooling. All right. I've had a job this entire time. I have a small company this entire time. Does that mean that I'm okay? Does it mean that I'm not okay? Everybody's been hurt in a different way about this. But if you were to come to me or any other essential worker and say, well, you have a job and you make too much, so we're not going to give you anything, but tomorrow we expect you to go to work, that's a problem when people are sitting on the beach getting their stimulus checks.
Yeah, you're right.
I have a
was
question.
actually
So
getting confused.
Go ahead,
Unemployment.
Sohaila, go ahead.
No, I was just, you're right. I was getting the stimulus and the unemployment confused. I was putting them together. Yeah.
So I'm going to say this. I know that, and I'm going to ask you, Wade, I'm going to ask you a question, Wade. So I know that the last stimulus check, the $600, I totally talk about my dad, but when that $600 hit people's accounts, I'm going to tell you, people have had outstanding debts with me. There's been people who owe me small amounts of money and large amount of money for my business, and they hadn't been able to pay. And I'm going to be honest, I haven't really been acting on collecting the money because I know everyone is suffering.
Yep.
The moment that people start getting that $600, I got messages to my inboxes. Hey, I didn't see the invoice for this month. So people were willing to pay. And wait, I have the same question to you. Did you see an increase in business once people got the money?
Yeah. We started getting bills paid, and we were able to pay more bills at the same time too. So it all works hand in hand. But the moment you don't provide that for people right now, or you cut people out, people are going to go back into their shell and they're going to spend less.
They really are. They really are. So it is now 7:30 and we are coming to the end of the Power Hour panel talk. I wanted to talk about a little bit more things. And actually, so let me read this comment really quickly from Joanna. She says, it's a Band-Aid, and that's what people don't understand. What's going to happen to people after March who haven't been able to pay their rent? It's going to be bad. I think Joe Biden is looking to extend that to September, by the way, but still, it's going to be bad. So we are at the end of the Power Hour panel talk. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this later, go ahead and leave the comments about what you think about the various topics that we spoke about, from the various things in the impeachment trial to the stimulus check. And if you like this show, you may want to also check out, not may, but you do want to check out my other show every single Monday through Thursday right here on Facebook or Twitter. Or you also want to check out my show on TV. So go ahead, download that Easy Way app, and you can watch the entire season 1 of The Mel Show on Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire. And how about you, Sohaila and Angel?
Well,
We still have 25 minutes. 25 seconds.
Listen, I can talk politics for hours. But I don't think people want to hear me talk hours. I have been live for like 5 hours today. So
wow.
I just want to mention something. When you say we're gonna talk about what's happening, and let's talk about what's happening in the world. We need to talk things about what's happening in the world, not just in America.
Oh, next
So
time.
I do try to bring in like world events too, but just America's kind of a shit show right now. So
Definitely don't outlier with the world.
No, Angel has a lot to say about the Mexican president. Oh my God, you
So
want to?
we'll do a comparison next week about the Mexican
Yeah.
Mexican and American politics.
You wanna know all the mistakes that FBI is making?
Stay tuned for
Stay
next
tuned.
week and listen.
Okay, so we will talk about that next week. And
Definitely.
Sohaila.
Yeah, so we have Coffee with the Queens this Thursday morning at 9:30 a.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time. And we have actually a Valentine's special. And it's going to be so great. We have Sylvia Chavez and we have Eric Lofholm on this Thursday morning. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, I have my membership hub for belly dance classes and Nuvo fitness classes. So you could go to SohailaInternational.com and check them out. That's it for me.
And Wade.
So right now we're working with Carrie Beavers, one of our veteran business partners. She's getting ready to launch her own coffee brand, Soldier Girl Coffee. So we're working on helping her create her virtual launch event and get everything together, from giveaways to how to do this, to how to put everything together, from the Facebook Lives to get everybody in there. We're so excited about that. It's going to happen around the 13th of next month. There's so much to do before then, but it's going to be awesome.
On the Smoke and Bacon is going to be a Spanish version.
Ooh.
You can have a Spanish version. You just have to type in Spanish.
Cool.
And guys, if you are on the Smoke and Bacon app, you can actually find me in the political zone and the Live with Mel zone. And we do upload all these to Smoke and Bacon. So please check us out on Smoke and Bacon as well.
Sounds good.
Okay.
In Espanol.
Yeah.
Angel.
Espanol.
Bacon and humo y bacon. Doesn't sound so okay.
Humo y bacon.
I just heard bacon. I'm okay with that.
Humo y tocino.
Oh, yeah, that's it. In Spanish.
Humo y tocino. Okay.
There you
Tocino.
go.
I think it's better. Tocino ahumado. Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, there we go. There we go. I am probably the only vegan on an app with the name Bacon in it. So
Don't worry. We'll
convert you. It's okay.
vegan bacon. Vegan smoking bacon.
There you go. It's made out of soy, right?
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Bye, everybody. Have a great one and catch us next week.